Hi everyone, welcome back to my shop. As you can see, this is not the Waco. The Waco is off the bench now. In part 3, I said I was going to take it outside and test run the motor, and I did exactly that. Right after I got done videoing that little segment, I went outside and gassed it up and started videoing the test run. And I flipped on that thing, flipped the prop for, I don't know, a good 10 minutes. Could not get it to fire. So I got a bunch of video of me doing this. So I can't show you that. I'll show you a little bit up over here. But anyway, I ended up having to take the engine off the plane, boxing it up, and I sent it back to Valley View and talked to Tom. He's their service guy, and told him everything that I did, all my tests I did with it. I checked the spark, which is great. Checked for fuel flow, which was nothing wrong with fuel flow. I pulled the fuel line off the carburetor, fuel would run out. Choked the engine, fuel would drip out of the carburetor, but the fuel was not making it into the crankcase. And I put a compression tester on there, and the compression was super low. And this is a brand new motor. So I told Tom all that stuff, wrote it down on a letter, sent it back with the box. They got it. I sent it out on a Friday. They got it on a Tuesday. Tom called me on the following Friday and said that they got it fixed and they're sending it back. And what they found is that the engine had no compression, which I already knew. And he said they tore it apart, replaced the rings with some brand new Boeing rings, and he said it fired right up. They don't know why the other rings were bad, but it's just something that happens. But great service, great communication. I mean, he called me on the phone and said, hey, we got it fixed. This is what was wrong. We test ran it. It's all tuned, ready to go. They shipped it back. And I had it back on Saturday from Indiana to here. So they must have sent it out maybe on a Thursday or something. But anyway, I mounted it back onto the Waco. And I figured, well, they already tested it, tuned it. I'm just going to take it out to the field and test run the motor there. I had nobody to help me out with the video, so I didn't get none of that footage as far as me firing the engine up. And then I had to put the cowling back on and all that stuff. But I did get a little bit of the Maiden flight. A guy used his cell phone to record it for me, and he only got a little portion of it, so I'm going to show you that. But I only needed on the Maiden flight. Well, first of all, the engine started in 3 flips. I choked it. First 2, it popped. Third one, it fired right up. So the engine's great. On the Maiden flight, I taxied out, took off, got it airborne and leveled out. I needed, well, back in the day, most radios had little clicks in the trim tabs as you rotate it down to tell where you're at. Nowadays it's a beep, so I had 2 beeps of down and 2 beeps of left aileron, and that was it. And it flew perfect. So what I'm going to do is go out to the field. I'll have a camera person this time to film the flight so you can really see how it flies. I'll give you a little evaluation right now on the way it flies. It's not fast. It's very docile. Easy to fly. Flies like a trainer. The aileron movement, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I was going to put some servos in the upper wing. I didn't do that. I found a solution to my problem with the aileron going too far and locking up. I found a solution for that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the aileron throw is just enough to do a scale-like roll, which is perfect, I think, for a scale airplane. But if you want something more snappy, you might have to do some adjustments on that. Elevator control was good. First flight, coming in for a landing, it acted like the plane was nose heavy because I could not get a flare. Even though I could fly it around and loop the plane, coming in on a landing, when I flared it, I had the stick all the way back and it came in level. Not real happy about that, so I gave it more elevator throw. That helped a little bit. I still think it needs more throw, and I believe it was 22 millimeters of throw. So I've increased it probably about to 27 millimeters now total. I think it needs to at least have maybe 35 millimeter of throw, but I'll find that out next time I fly it, which will be, well, shortly for you, but Friday for me, a couple days away, because the wind's blowing for the next couple days. So that's what I've noticed on the plane so far, but it's acting like it's nose heavy as far as being able to get a good flare. But I used their center of gravity measurements, you know, using the little contraption they had, the trapeze thing, and I need to sit down and do the math on it. I believe that's the only way I'm going to find out for sure if the CG is correct. So I haven't done that yet. I'm going to put one more flight in on it for you guys to see, and I'll make adjustments from there. But other than that, it's a really good flying airplane. I'm real happy with it. It's going to be one of my main planes, prop planes as far as that goes, is, you know, to take out to the field besides my giant Super Sportster, which I really like. But that is about it for now on the Waco. Like I said, it is done. It's been flown. Actually, I have 3 flights on it because I kept on adjusting the elevator. But that now on the 70 Twin that I bought from Valley View, it's a VVRC 70 Twin. It didn't use much fuel. I put in 3 6-minute flights, which my flights are usually about 6 minutes, because by the time 6 minutes is up, I've done everything I wanted to do with the plane and I've come down and land. So I put in 3 flights on 1 tank, and I was pretty happy with that. A lot of you guys might want to go up and tear up the sky and fly for 10 minutes or so. You'll easily get that off of that amount of fuel that they have in that tank. That 70 Twin pulls it really nice. Very happy with it now that I got it back from the shop. So yeah, that's about all I can say about the Waco for now. I'll have more to say when we get out to the flying field, and I'll show you the field and you can check it out and sit in for a flight. And I'll try to do a common, you know, what am I trying to say? A narration while I'm flying, and let you know what I'm thinking at the time that I'm doing these maneuvers. So go with that, and that'll be Friday, which will be in a couple of minutes for you. To show you how I fixed my aileron problem, I kind of drew it up on the whiteboard here so you can see. This is a rudimentary drawing, of course. It's terrible, but best I could do in a pinch. Like I said before, when you gave it see left or right aileron, when the bottom wing aileron went down to 22 millimeter, this would drop, the top aileron would drop to a point where this would go over center and try to swing the opposite direction. So my fix, and it's very crude fix, but it works really well, is I put a bump stop right here, a little triangular piece of balsa wood right there. So when the aileron come down to the point where it wanted to flip back the other way, but it's right at that edge, it hits this bump stop and it can't go any further. That's what I did to both sides of the upper wing on the aileron, and it just bumps up against here and stops it from going too far. And that seemed to work. I don't think I can give it any more throw on the top,
even if I give it more throw on the bottom, it's going to jam and stop. So more aileron throw is going to have to be done by shaving this block off to let the movement travel a little bit further, but I don't think I can do that without having it go over center. So that was my fix. It's pretty simple. Just a little drip of CA glue, triangular piece of, actually it's fairly hard balsa, and I just glued it up in there. Nobody can see it, so it's not a big deal, and it works quite well. That's how I cured that problem.
All right, why is this here? While the engine for the Waco was being repaired, I went and I ordered this jet. This is a Boeing T7A. It's a, the military is going to use it as a trainer. I think it came out, I can't remember the exact date that they actually started flying this plane in the military, but I don't believe they have a Thunderbird scheme on the plane right now. I think this is just a fantasy scheme, which I'm pretty sure it's a fantasy scheme. It's a trainer jet. They like it because the instructor sits higher than the student, so the instructor can see pretty much everything that's going on. It's supposed to be the trainer jet that's one step from the new generation of jet fighters. And that's about as much as I can tell you on the scale side of it. I bought this from Chief Aircraft. They actually, I ordered a jet from them, and this is what happened. The next day, they called me up and said, "Hey, the jet you ordered, they're not going to make that a run on that for at least a couple years. They're more interested in doing bigger jets." And I said, "Okay, fine." And I said, "I'll look somewhere else and try to find a jet." I couldn't find anything out there that I liked. So I went back to Chief Aircraft. I asked them, "What do you got in stock?" And they had this in stock, and they gave me a good deal on it. So I grabbed it. It's all like you see it. It's all pre-painted, composite fuselage, composite wings, tail fins, elevators. It comes with all the servos, GDW servos. There's 10 of them that came with it. Retracts came with it. The one thing that didn't come with it, and they don't even have, that I really could have used was a instruction booklet of some kind. Had zero instructions. I had to go on the internet and find a lot of it, you know, from people that's already assembled this plane, and looking at a lot of pictures on how the angles were, let's say for the gear door struts, because the way they want it done, by looking at the cutouts, it wasn't going to work. So I had to do a little bit of fudging on those to make them work. But yeah, I like it. It's a good jet. It's going to be a little faster than my old model bow Tornado, and these jet guys got me going on these. So I figured if I'm going to fly jets, I'm going to have to do it now before I get too old and too sluggish and too slow to be able to keep up with it. Everything down here you see is what's left to be put in it. One servo on that side. On the starboard wing, the aileron servo has to go in. It's not really an aileron servo, it's a flaperon. They mainly use these for flaps, a little bit of movement on the ailerons, everything else is elevons. All your roll rate is basically done with the horizontal stabilizer, which is a flying stab, which is going to be interesting. You probably wonder what I'm going to use for power, and this is it right here. I went and bought this when I bought the jet. This is a King Tech K201 G5, 5th generation, I believe that means. Caro start. It's going to be an interesting deal. It has 22 pounds of thrust, and the maximum, well, the minimum is 17 pounds of thrust to 24 pounds of thrust for this particular plane. They they warn you not to go any fast or any more power than 20 or 24 pounds of thrust. Why exactly, I don't know. Maybe it will disassemble itself if you go any faster, but that was their warning. Do not put more than 24-pound thrust turbine in this plane. So that's that. Let me show you the retract movement. I'll put it up over here and you can check that out. And then I'm going to sign off and we'll pick this up on my way to the flying field. Well, I made it to the field, got it all assembled, and one thing I wanted to show you real quick is how this comes off. Remember earlier in the earlier videos I said this would be a difficult thing to get off if it came off at all. Well, I kind of figured it out, so let me show you that real quick. You pop the back end off, give it a quarter twist, and it slides out like that, okay? That's one thing I wanted to show you, that it does come off. It's a little more difficult to get it on exactly. Takes a little bit of practice and jiggling around, but that's how it works. Okay, that's that. So what I'm gonna do is set this up on the ground, get it fueled up, and then we will start it up and get a quick flight in. It's out of trim, so it's gonna be like a maiden flight. On the original maiden flight, it didn't take much to get it trimmed up. A couple clicks of down and a couple clicks of left aileron, and that was it. So let me get this on the ground, fueled up, and we'll get it started and we'll start filming the flight. Back in a second. Feels like it's coming out of that direction. Okay, taxiing out. Wind's kind of crosswind, so can't guarantee how good of a takeoff I'm going to do. Okay, here we go. And that's only about half throttle with this 70. She's bouncy up there. We got a crosswind blowing about 8 miles an hour, gusting to about 14. Going into a loop. And we're wide open right now. This is as fast as it'll fly. And a roll. Roll over on her back. Going back to half throttle. It flies good at half throttle. Low pass. Okay, we're gonna do a high-speed low pass. Well, not as low as I'd like it to be. She wants to climb for some reason. I'm still out of trim a little bit. Loop. Oh, wind pushed me sideways. Ah, didn't like that. Half throttle again. It likes to fly best at half throttle. I got all kinds of bugs crawling on me. Okay, I'm gonna make an approach. Which way is that wind coming from? Changed directions, didn't it?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's coming at my back.
Okay, got a solid crosswind?
Yeah.
Whoa. I'm getting blown all over the place.
It's coming from the mulch piles over there at the dump.
Okay, coming in. That wind is really horrendous. Whoa! We got some bad air out there. And that's it, we're down. Well, that's it for the flight video. For some reason my camera kept on going in and out of focus, and I apologize for that. I don't know why it was doing that. It's never done it before, and it is what it is, I guess. I was lucky to get that because I actually went out there 6 times to film the flight of that Waco, and a few times there was nobody there to run the camera. The other times I had people running the camera that were inexperienced, and to watch the video would have made you nauseous. It was that bad. So I can't even use the footage that I got previous. But like I said, I kept on messing with the elevator trim or the elevator throws, and each time I did that, I had to recenter the trim, and I wanted it to be as close to the Maiden flight as I could get it when I did film it, so it was completely out of trim. And like before, it was just 3 beeps of down trim, 2 beeps of left trim, and it flew good. But I'm not sure how good the trim is because of the crosswind. The wind, like I said, was blowing 8 to 14 miles an hour. It was like 8 miles an hour at the ground level, but once you got above, we got pine trees in the behind us, and once you got above those pine trees, then the full force of the wind hit it, and it was difficult to maintain a straight line. There's a lot of drift when you make a good run down the runway. You can literally see when you're there, the plane is sliding out away from you with that crosswind. It was interesting, kind of fun. It's a challenge, especially with the biplane. I have a Newport 28 that is 10 times worse than that Waco in the wind, so that one never gets flown in the wind. But the Waco did good. It flew in the wind. I'm not afraid to fly it in the wind. It's a good plane. I think if you get one, you'll enjoy it. It's a floater. It's gentle. It's like a trainer. If you can fly a trainer, you probably could fly that Waco. It's that easy. The 70 twin I have on it, the VVRC 70 twin, hauls it around real good with a 24/9 prop. It's very scale-like. It's not real fast. And at half throttle, the takeoffs are fairly gentle. You've seen that. So yeah, that's about it. Some other tools that you can use while you're setting up your Waco, and I was reminded of this by somebody who wrote in, and they said they like using incident meters, and I did on the Waco. I have two of these actually. One is older than the other, of course, but these are Robarts. When you check the incidence is actually the difference between the angle of attack on the horizontal stab and the angle of attack on the wings. And the difference is the incidence. Like, let's say you have positive incidence in your stab and maybe, or negative incidence and positive incidence on one or the other. And the difference between the two is your incidence. With the Waco, I didn't have any drawings for it to find out where the center line actually is. So what I did is zeroed out the horizontal stabilizer and measured the wings. The top wing was at 0 along with the stabilizer, and the bottom wing was at a half a degree according to the meter. I don't know how accurate it is, of positive incidence, or positive angle I should say, on the bottom wing. And it didn't seem to have any ill effects being like that. It flies good the way it is. Just make sure your wings are flat once you put your struts on. Make sure there's no twist or anything like that, and it'll be good to go. Another thing I used, and when I set up my elevator, I leveled the plane, used the incidence meter, got the horizontal stabilizer level, and then I attached this deflection gauge. You just clamp it down onto this is spring loaded, it clamps onto your elevator, and when you turn it on, it shows you how many degrees of angle you have. Good tool to have. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I didn't get a chance to show you the field because I forgot. I did have a chance, but it slipped my mind. So I'm going to tell you about a little bit. The runway points to the northwest a little bit. That's the prevailing winds. So we have approximately a little over 900 foot in length of the runway, and just a hair under 300 foot wide. Our flight line is over, let's see, 270 some odd feet long. We have a spotter stand that we have to use since we're flying on the airport, and we have a pavilion and barbecue grills and stuff like that. Tables, as you've seen, that we set up on flight startup tables for smaller nitro powered planes or electric, whichever. But that's about it. We're in the middle of nowhere. The grass runway, excuse me, the grass runway we fly next to is rarely used. You can probably count how many planes land on that on one hand all year. And yeah, great place to fly, wide open. It's wide enough from the tree line that you've seen in the distance that it's not a problem flying jets. We have a great big concrete roller that you have to haul around with a pickup truck to flatten out the grass. So yeah, we got a pretty good setup. But one thing about it is the airport manager lets me fly jets off the taxiway. I just go over to the main terminal, drive out, set up next to the taxiway, and he lets me fly my jet off of the taxiway, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to do a video on this just because there's so much going on that I'm not sure of where locations are going to be, like for the fuel shutoff valve, the fuel pump, the ECU, where I'm going to put the brake control, the landing gear and gear door controller, and there's a light controller that goes in here because it has lights on the wings and on the landing gear, stuff like that. And there's a ton of wires that have to be routed, and it'd be awful difficult to video. Maybe after it's done, I'll show you the whole layout, and maybe a maiden flight. That'd be interesting. So no, there's not going to be a video on this for a while. I think that's just about all I wanted to say on the Waco. It's a good plane. I do recommend it. You'll enjoy it if you do have one. If you like flying nice and easy, if you have too many planes that go like a bullet, this is a good retreat from that. And like me, I have planes that fly like crazy. Pattern ships to overpowered World War II planes, stuff like that. And being able to hop onto a biplane and slow things down, it's a nice change of pace. This would be one of my nice day flyers. Whenever it's a nice day, I'm going to take it out, and I will probably fly it a lot. So I guess that's it for now. And I'm not sure what the next video is going to be. I still have a Cougar I have to do the paint video on. Maybe that's going to be next. I'm not sure. So in the meantime, y'all have a good one.